Emmett.
Say hi, Mommy, till I had ice cream today, and now I got gas. What happened to your face?
Nothing.
Is everything all right?
I gotta roll.
What's wrong with you, boy?
It's Tiffany.
Boy, you need to find a new tune to whistle.
When she came to pick EJ up, she had a bruise on her cheek.
Uh-huh.
I can't have my son around that.
No, you can't.
Tiffany! Tiffany! Oh, Tip. Oh, shit.
What the fuck is you doing here, Emmett?
I was worried. I thought you might need some help.
Do it look like I fucking need help, Emmett?
No, but I was trying.
I told you I stay in my fucking business.
Step the fuck off.
Shut the fuck up.
Shit, man. Come on, hey, shit, just chill, man.
Fuck the both of y'all.
Hey, cool out, man.
Emmett, wait.
Relax.
A while back, I pulled down a few clips from that show, The Shy. I've never watched the show outside of shorts on YouTube, right? And have not regretted not watching the show, okay? It's a fictionalized account of different people's lives in Chicago, supposedly. It's somebody's living experience, not mine. I'm born and raised. I'm a first son of that goddamn city, okay? And it sucked. Okay, I ain't gonna even lie, it sucked. Growing up on the south side of Chicago, and it sucks as an adult in his mid-50s having to hear people talk about the south side like it was the, like it was the shits. Okay, it was the shits, but not in the way the show presents. It's created by a person of the alternative community they were trying to shove down her throat for a minute, then she fell off. And, I think she's more comfortable behind the camera and shit. She's so comfortable, I can't remember her fucking name, but this is the second of two clips that I pulled out from the show that sparked my interest and shit. Because, it presents a teachable moment for kings and shit. You princes out there too. Okay? Now you notice in this clip, this guy is trying to co-parent with a Keisha, quote unquote, and said, this guy's trying to co-parent with a shitty woman. Okay? She's a woman of the streets, alright? She's the first daughter of this bitch, right, in this fictional world, this fictional Chicago, okay? Trust me, the south side of Chicago is pretty fucked up. It's more fucked up than when I grew up there and shit, alright? There was a veneer of respectability and order and shit that no longer exists. Now it's just it's a cracker barrel. Alright, you go there, you're shooting down, okay? But, this show is garbage and trash. But you see this guy, one of the protagonists in the show, trying to co-parent with his baby's mama and shit. And I throw up in my mouth saying that, but it's true. You read the stats, it's true. Women in the supposed community have more children than the men in it and shit. They've given birth to more children than the men in it. And the majority of men that have procreated with these women are there and present in their lives and shit. I think I would put that out after the K. Michelle debacle, her fake ass, her goofy ass. And now I'm talking about this clip in The Shy where you see that this guy is concerned about his baby mama being in an abusive relationship, about, noticing her with a bruise on her face, which she dismisses, That's one of the signs of a shitty woman. They know deep down that they ain't worth nothing. They'll scoff at any stand-up guy that wants to go to bat for them, like a true white knight and shit. Not the shit that we see, these simps and these son husbands and shit, but a true white knight who's affected by, overt brutality towards the Jurrasic, I guess I would say. It doesn't really apply in that community. And she's dismissive of that. And he voices his concerns to an older man. And you notice the demeanor of the man when he hears the girl's name. He's just like dismissive as well, because he knows that she's not worth shit. Okay, she's not worth her EBT card, to put it that way. And you see that the guy later goes over the house and hears some kind of scuffle, and forces his way into her apartment to find her beating her pookie boyfriend, beating him. while the baby watches, while their son, their baby, their toddler son watches this shit from his playpen. The guy decides to leave after she expresses, uh, anger, misplaced anger at him for being concerned about her and shit. He picks up his son and walks out. The only thing I would have added to that is him pulling out his phone and filming that shit before, they noticed him and shit. And then send that shit to the court. Not like it would make a difference, right? But at least he would have, documented footage of her being a shitty mother, right? This was a fictional show, right? But I wanted to say, when I saw this clip, the first thing that came to my mind was that, like, when I was a kid, I used to watch Good Times, and you would see the mother always, you would see Florida, kind of low-key bitching at her husband and undermining his authority and shit, and James was always angry. And I couldn't figure out when I was a kid why he was so mad all the goddamn time. I mean, he would have a string of shitty jobs, but he was there and present for his family, presenting a united front. But, he would always be yelling in the house and shit, and the woman would always be presented as some kind of a counterbalance to his aggression. In reality, if you look at it, they weren't a united front and shit, and he was there solely for his kids and shit. He should have walked out on her, or they should have combined their resources to. She had a job. The Good Times is a spinoff from a show called Maude, and All in the Family as well, and whatnot. At least I think that, But I know that she, Esther Roll was the Florida character on the show called Maude and shit. And this was a spinoff to show their lives away from the white people's world and shit. Alright? To show that she lived in the projects. I guess Maude didn't pay her nothing. She wasn't able to make a decent dime, and combined with her husband, they decided to live in the projects and shit. They didn't decide to, maybe move to the South or something and, have better opportunities down there. Right? It was the fucking 70s and 80s and shit. They could have relocated or something. She could have supported him going to night school and getting his high school diploma or something. It was a different time and shit. But when I watched the show, I was a latchkey kid. They just plunked me down in front of a fucking TV and walked away, and the TV was my third parent. Alright? I'm looking at the fucking shot, and I'm hoping that there are no children out there sitting down looking at this shit. But I know that they are. And I lament that. Okay? You see, what I learned from looking at Good Times and looking at The Shy is that, this, the ghetto is a social construct, okay? And we don't preside over it. Men do not preside over it in any fucking way, fashion, or form. We're small cogs in a big machine and shit. It's called social engineering, right? You can change your fucking environment and shit by being unapologetically masculine and shit. What I learned about James is, James Evans, played by Jonathan Amos, is that he had decided to remain in a no-win situation, a Kobayashi Maru situation, to share with his fucking wife, because he cared about his kids, not so much his eldest kid. May or may not have been his. Michael and Thelma looked like, they could pass as James' kids. JJ, not so much, okay? We don't know. He's expressed a great irritation at JJ. I'm just projecting, by the way. Alright? And I look at The Shine, I see this young guy, doing what he do. On the show, he has a string of, dalliances with local women and shit that all end up badly. And, I don't know how it all turned out and shit, but I just know that he made some bad decisions and shit. And he didn't use a condom and shit. Right? I think sex education in these urban centers should be taken as seriously as when you learn how to drive a fucking car. For this very same reason, because, that ghetto is not there for men. Right? It's there for males, not men. Right? It's kind of it's kind of like a Jurassic Park for Negroes, okay? It's not for you, not for productive black men and shit. It's for Keisha and Pookie, Ray, Tyrone, and the baby man and shit, okay? I'm telling you, I never fit in. I grew up I'm a son of Chicago. When I channel it just right, I can pull my inner Negro. My inner Negro will come out and shit. It's fucking devastating to see. It's like Godzilla coming out of the water and shit. When I do get angry, you know, that really did that. The first thing I learned growing up in the actual real life Shy was self-control. Okay, it was a process. It was a process and shit. You know, when I look at these clips from the Shy, the common theme is a woman testing a man's boundaries. Okay, and then you see the other men, the badly raised men that were created and populate this construct. You see them making a series of decisions that are detrimental to their life and their health and their life. Show has a high body count, not just between the sheets and shit. Life and death situations. All right, you see women giving a pass in these shows for making shitty ass decisions and shitty behavior. All right, I don't want to really trip out and shit. Then you go back to Good Times and you saw Janet Jackson's character Penny. She never stopped acting like a 10 to 12-year-old and shit. Okay, she still acted like that when the character was supposed to be in high school. And if you look between the lines and shit, that's some kind of trauma, sexual or otherwise, mostly probably sexual and shit. Her mother was abusing her ass and there was no father there. Then her mother took up later with a guy and he was a street guy. He was a weirdo. Alright? A weirdo. Yeah. Her mother was abusive. Alright? Look at the Shy, there's no shortage of abusive women there. Shit really disaffected, effeminate acting thugs. Alright? I hate that image of us. That we always have to have some criminal going by. You don't see anybody with any real big dreams and shit. Even the character Emmett has, on the Shy has like, his business, that he runs like a catering business and shit. And he's out there, trying to make, the best of a situation. I'm like, why does he have to be like that? Why can't he be a fucking college student and shit? Why can't he be? Why are the women standoffish and fucked up and shit? And why did the guys listen and tolerate that shit? I know in real life, we used to always joke that the gangbanger had the best house in the hood and shit, that they are the only ones that had peace in their home because they were criminals. Anybody else, they were fighting for their life outside the house and inside the fucking house. And one of the most telling things and shit, I was in a situation where a woman was causing chaos and destruction and under my roof and shit. I just asked her one day, I said, well, what do you want? She didn't fucking know. Only thing she knew was she didn't want me to get out of that bitch. She did not want me to get, she wanted me to stay in that shit with her ass and go no fucking where. And she didn't have no answers about it. Well, okay, well, you in charge. Well, what are we doing now? And we say the best way to solve a problem is to ask the motherfuckers first, what do you want? Second, why are you doing this? All right? If you can't get either one of those and shit, you're in a life and death situation and you need to have a fight or flight response. That's the way I feel about it. All right? In this show, this motherfucker should never take that kid back over there. As a matter of fact, he should have filmed that shit with his phone and kept the child for a week, and, since he's obviously probably signed a birth certificate, he should call up the CPS and shit and make a report and send them that footage and shit. And he'll, more likely, since it's a fairy tale, he'll get his kid, full custody of his kid, and be able to hit her with a child support order. And that's how that would go and shit. Tell her that the court date, he only want to talk to her on court-sponsored apps, for parenting that, the courts can monitor surreptitiously their exchanges. And he can also have her compelled to pick up the child at the police station, in any area police station. I don't know how that works and shit. I haven't had a chance to activate that because, I have two sons, and the first son, that was parental alienation and shit. I carry the scars of that for the rest of my life until I'm dead. And I co-parent with, my current son. I'm still school age, right? It's a vast difference being there every day, being there every day. And, you're in the hood and shit, and you see these women chasing these men and shit, hunting them like slave catchers and shit. The men that don't even want their motherfucking kids. And then you have the other side of the coin and shit. You know, I guess that would be EBG and Haley Bailey and shit. Well, fuck her. I hope her career goes in the toilet and shit for what she's done. Alright? The hood is a social construct. Alright? It's not real. You know, you're in that bitch. None of the antagonists, male or female, everything in between, can have any power over you that you don't give them and shit, okay? You can always check out of that shit, okay? You don't have to be in a no-win codependent situation with someone that's giving you hell, alright? You can walk out of it, alright? I'm in the mindset, a radicalized mindset, mind you, that I would rather lay on the streets than be in a situation like that. I'd rather take a bullet to the head than be in a situation like that. I don't give a damn. You know, it's messed up to be in that kind of a manic state and shit. You know, that manic righteous indignation and shit. That I'm okay going to the upper room and shit, not to capitulate to this, this terrorism and shit, and this spiritual war. You know. I don't, now to think, I don't really feel like it's radicalized. It's just a natural progression and shit. Me rejecting all that I was taught and shit. And everything that I was taught that I listened to it, adhere to was wrong. That's sad and shit. I believe in family. I believe in love and all that bullshit. But, maybe I'm on the wrong planet at the wrong time. You don't have to be, okay? So I made a commentary because I care. Because I want all the young men, shit, some people that's older than me to, live your best life and find some peace. You young guys out there, man, your life is what you make of it and whatnot. You're not here to serve anyone else and shit. They're not here, and they let you know every day they're not here to serve you. And everything you think you have, you don't own because they can take it away and pervert it and turn it into some abomination that goes against natural order, right? You live your best life and shit. I'm not telling you not to go out and be fruitful and multiply or anything like that. I wouldn't dare tell you that. I'm just another human being and shit. But I want you to know that someone cares about you, alright? I do. And, to that end, I will do the outro, alright? This is becoming part for the course, alright, gentlemen? 3 simple rules, okay? You can build on that. Right? You don't have to. Okay? It's just, just a disembodied voice talking to you. A disembodied voice that cares and loves you and supports you. Okay? Despite our differences. So, that being said, keep your head on the swivel. Protect your bag, and above all else, and most importantly, do not make fallen women the stewards of your family or the mothers of your children and shit. That is very important and shit, okay? Because your children are your future. They are your legacy, okay? Plain and simply put, SYSBM means save yourself, black man, okay? I love you. I'll praise the Most High.
Is you is or is you ain't my baby? The way you acting lately makes me down. You is still my baby, baby.